Hey everyone, welcome to another Ron podcast. So today I'm going to be talking about Fast and Furious 7. I do have some really good news that I'll get to at the end of this. It's such good news that I didn't even need to really record this because everything I was going to talk about, I was kind of worried about what was going to happen with the movie, but it sounds like, I don't want to spoil it. Okay, so Paul Walker passed away on November 30th, just over a week ago, 40 years old. Part of the proceeds from the Fast 6 home video will go to his organization, Reach Out Worldwide. That comes out on December 10th here in the States, which I believe is Tuesday. So Fast 7 scheduled to come out on July 11th, 2014, but production has been shut down. Who knows for how long. Began filming in late September. Filming, it sounds like, more than halfway done. I'm not sure if that includes Paul's scenes. But cast and crew were on Thanksgiving break during the time of Paul's death. He was scheduled to shoot some key scenes upon his return, which would have been this last week. It sounds like most of his role was filmed, but more was to be shot in January. Possibly reshoots. That's probably with all the cast, though. The studio put everything on hold until they and director James Wan decide whether to scrap everything and start from scratch, cleverly write out Paul's character, or do they have enough footage to work around it? I thought Ian Shaw was going to kill Brian. That would be shocking, surprising, and good drama for the story. That way, Paul's talk about signing on for Fast 8 would put aside any talk of O'Connor being killed. I think that would have been a smart move. And it's really sad. Mia and Jack growing up without a husband and a father. Okay, what's next here? Sorry, just reading off my notes. Scrap and start over without footage of Paul already shot. I say leave his scenes in, but if they do restart the movie, then please include the original content in the home video release. All the footage they shot, along with an interview explaining, why they weren't able to move on to write his character out after his death. The budget's, let's say, around $200 million. You have to consider we have some big names in this movie. And, action sequences can be very costly. Do you really think the studio is willing to finance a complete reshoot? If so, would the release date likely change? There have been a lot of tributes and more for Paul Walker. The response online has just been incredible. It's just, you don't know what you got until it's gone. And I started a Facebook group for Fast 7 back in September, and we're just looking forward to this movie so much. And then we heard about Paul's passing, and everyone's just been so comforting to one another and checking up, like, how are you, how you doing, how you dealing with this? Because it's a big loss in our community, in our family. Sad to see him go. James Wan posted on Facebook upon hearing the news, "I am so beyond heartbroken right now," which is understandable. I'm not sure how long he knew Paul, but he's an essential part of the franchise and a really nice guy, it seemed like. Has anyone heard a reaction from Justin Lin? He directed the last 4 Fast and Furious movies. I don't mean that to sound harsh. I'm just wondering if anyone's read anything from him. The day after Thanksgiving, the first clip from Fast 7 leaked online. Funeral scene, coincidentally, for Han's funeral. And I thought it was really nice how they had Dom put the picture of Giselle on his tombstone. That was really sweet. Working title for this movie is Fast and Furious 7, The Unknown Road Ahead. Indeed. That's ironic and coincidental. If the studio, if they need some help, some motivation, listen to what O'Connor said. We do what we do best. we improvise. You know, writers can be very, very creative. I mean, you see some plot twists, you know, some plots just in general that are very brilliant. Some things like, oh, I never thought of that. No, that was pretty clever. And I say just leave Paul's scenes in and, you know, like I said, I figured Shaw was going to kill Brian. I'm not sure how they can work it in, but it depends on what they've shot and how the story goes. But yeah, leave his work in, honor his memory, don't scrap and start over. Delayed indefinitely, according to the studio. I read that on IMDb. Michael J. White, may know him from Spawn, The Dark Knight. He was recently added to the cast on IMDb. The timeline of this movie. So a lot of people are saying, well, this is, you know, the first sequel to Tokyo Drift. It's actually not. It's an in-between-quel. Think of The Bourne Legacy, how that plot, it goes parallel with The Bourne Ultimatum. So in this movie, after Han's death in Tokyo Drift, that's when this movie begins. So we're thinking that at the very end, after Dom and his crew have dealt with Shaw, that's when Dom goes to Tokyo and meets DK Sean. Why, I'm not sure. I mean, we know that, you know, they're both friends of Han's and that, and family's very important to Dom. So we'll see if he wants to recruit Sean, if they want to work together on something, or if he basically, literally just wants to hand over the reins of the franchise to DK Sean, which I figured they would do because, I mean, there have been so many losses, you know? I mean, now Mia and Jack, you know, they're kind of going to be alone without Brian. And it's not like Jesse and Leon are going to come over. Or Vince. Who knows what happened to Leon? He was listed in the credits for Fast 7. I'm not sure if that was just something a user put in there. You know, same with Bow Wow. But we'll see. It'd be great to see him again. So yeah, the end of the movie, Dom meets DK Sean. And that's where the whole Tokyo Drift, you know, the prequels and all the build-up and everything, that's where that ends. So Fast 8 would genuinely be the first sequel. Just to clarify. At least, I mean, that's what it seems like is going to happen. So while when Sean is preparing to race DK, that's when Dom and his crew are going after Shaw. I figure Fast 8 would feature Sean as the lead, or a lead. 8 will happen, since they've set Lucas Black's character up for more. If you've seen on Twitter, he said that his character has a very small role, but it sets him up for, you know, more installments. And again, with 7 being kind of the last ride for Dom and crew, I mean, just consider all the deaths. You know, you want to see them pull more jobs, get more money. I mean, I figure they're well off, except for Tego and Rico. Could go into all those casinos. Oh, and this morning, so I was doing a little more research before I recorded this. I read something, this is just very intense. A childhood friend tried to pull Paul Walker from the crash. He was at the charity event that they were all at, and they actually have a photo of it. And it was before the explosion. So he probably would have died too, because they said the explosion happened, you know, within a minute or so. And I just kept picturing that in my head, just seeing his friend going in there. And it's so hard for me to picture Paul in there. I mean, that was such a small car, and seeing the crash, and I mean, you couldn't, I mean, nobody would have survived that. And they said, you know, the deaths were pretty much instant. You know, they crashed, and it was within seconds that, you know, they met their fates. And I'm just glad that Paul, he passed away with a friend doing something that they really loved. And he left behind a great legacy. I mean, you heard the story about the engagement ring. And the charity he was a part of, I didn't even really know of. But it's interesting when you learn more about people when they're gone. It's like people start doing all this research all of a sudden. But it seems I haven't read any negative comments. No one's saying like, oh, he's not that important or anything. Everyone's been really supportive, paying tribute to his memory, honoring his memory. Okay, so now we get to the good news. So I just read an article saying that Juan said they will finish Fast 7. He didn't say how. This is an interview, probably with TMZ or something. But they could write out O'Connor's character or rewrite the movie, start from scratch. That's what the article said. Now that last part, start from scratch, I don't see it happening. I really don't. I figure they'll just write out his character, and I think that's the best way to do it. Just continue, finish the movie for him. And I know it's going to be difficult for everyone, especially when they decide how to kill off his character. I actually wrote a screenplay that sends off O'Connor. I'll put a link to it in the description below. I'm very proud of it, but it was very hard to write. And you could probably tell I'm a big fan of the franchise, so I include a lot of talk of past events in that, and just little key elements throughout the link to all the movies. And give it a read. Let me know what you think. And let me check over my notes here. I think that's about it. So yeah, looks like that's gonna do it for my notes. When I first learned about Paul's death, the hype for Fast 7 just left my system. And it's slowly been getting back up, but I miss you, bro. One of my dreams is to direct or somehow be involved with a Fast and Furious movie in the future. And I don't know, it's like Vin and Paul are the two names associated with that franchise, and it's been so great to work with him. And now I won't get that chance. He just always seemed like such a cool guy. Like, I was watching Too Fast, Too Furious the other night, and that's how I always picture Paul Walker. Just like a cool guy, going with the flow, shaking hands, treating people with respect and everything. Like, that image is just always stuck in my head. I kind of miss that character too, because after, the fourth movie, Fast and Furious, it's like we kind of get a darker version. But still a great character, don't get me wrong, but I just kind of miss that, what up, kid? Anyways, thank you very much for listening. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you hear any news, updates about Fast 7, let me know. Join our Facebook group. I'll put a link in the description for that as well. We have quite a few members. Upon hearing the news of Paul's death, we've received about just over 100 membership requests. But hey, all friends, right? So join us, talk about if you ever met Paul, what your favorite movie of his is, anything we should know about him that hasn't been said, and just talk to people if you're feeling bad, feeling down. We have, actually, most of our updates that are posted on the group hit before the online sources post them, like Clever Movies and that. I've noticed that on Facebook. So join us, and at least we got some good news about Fast 7. I'm sure they'll post, some interviews, some more articles about what they're going to do. Well, I don't suppose they'll give us all the details, but I'm just glad they're moving on. Anyways, thanks for listening. I will talk with you later. Subscribe for new videos on Ron Jammin' TV.